back, and we got a part 2 coming up. Thank you for everybody for listening to Higher Density Living, and I'm going to throw a quick sponsor out there, Quality Mazda NM.
Yes.
They are a phenomenal educational sales education process or dealership here in the New Mexico area, and they also deliver cars to Colorado and Texas.
Yeah, and I own that I've purchased from them.
Yep.
I own a CX-5, a Mazda CX-5, and it was rated by Consumer Reports. I think it's tied with the Forester, which you've had a Forester, right?
Yep.
It was tied with the Forester as the #1 SUV.
Yeah.
So you're getting a great car.
We're actually going to be going to lease a car from Mazda.
Really?
Yeah. Woohoo! Quality Mazda NM. Yeah.
Yeah, and shout out to them for doing what they do best. Question, though, what I have for you is I want to talk about our second sponsor. And I think you know a little bit about them.
I do.
Our spray away glass cleaner.
I'm like, our second sponsor.
Was that sitting here the whole time?
The whole time it's been on video.
Oh,
Spray away glass cleaner.
Love it.
Yeah. We'll do a shout out to them.
Yeah. It works great, though.
I huff this stuff on my free time.
Yeah, I use the microfiber rags from Costco, and I use that, and it works good on all the glass.
Why are we plugging for everyone else? No one plugs for us.
I know. No one plugs for us. Tell me a little bit about our second sponsor. Oh, since you know, you're the kind of like the CEO.
Yeah, just a little bit of it. Second sponsor. Humans are horrible at keeping a record of their past.
Right.
And the people that do keep a record of a human's past have been abusing it. That past is people's data. And so our second sponsor, Tartle.
Right.
Tartle is a global data marketplace that allows you, a human being, in your own right and self-responsibility, to take control and ownership of the thing you create, which is data. And you can share that data to people ethically, and they can pay you for that sharing.
Think about it.
Do we need to say more?
No, I don't think we need to say more. But
if you want to sign up, where do you go, Jason?
Just don't allow big tech to take advantage of you.
Yeah, don't allow anyone to take advantage
They're bullies.
of you. Yeah, big bullies. So where do you go to sign up?
Tartle.co, TARTLE.co.
Great.
It takes literally 30 seconds to sign up.
Yeah, that's great.
And you can start sync your PayPal wallet. Next thing you know, the cool part is we ask everybody to do this. Even if you don't want to get paid for your data, you can donate a percentage of your earnings or your earnings of data packets like I do. I go in there and fill data packets. I did 3 yesterday. And I go in there and I put it on Higher Density Living.
Yep.
Because you have the option to give to an NGO or not-for-profit. And Higher Density Living is in there. And we're a 501c3. So
how cool is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So if you like this, want to support it, support yourself, support others, support the Big 7. Sign up at Tartle.co. And that's all we got for ads for today.
So 9 things we learned about aliens in 2021. This is by livescience.com.
I'm stoked about the things we've learned about aliens.
Yeah, so this is great.
I feel like I should write these down. Yeah.
The year 2021 gave truth seekers and alien hunters no shortage of mysteries to ponder.
Alien hunters.
But it also gave them answers. From a hotly anticipated Pentagon report on military UFO sightings to new insights on habitable exoplanets. To the truth about a so-called alien signal from the sun's nearest neighboring star. I had to go with their awesome. Great writing. Whoever wrote this. This is cool. Really Brandon Spector, it looks like, wrote this. So I think it's good. So let's start with the list. 9 things. Number 1, and we're going to talk about each of those. So this is probably going to be a 2-parter. Number 1, UFOs are real and the government knows it.
Okay. So?
Oh, we agree next?
Yeah. That was fun to learn. UFOs are real. I mean, the government's trying to make their own. We just did an episode on the TR-3B.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What else is new? I mean, we've seen... Okay, the Pentagon release of those files. Ships twirling and twirling and flying into the water and people going on Joe Rogan's podcast. Blah, 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 blah. Talking about aliens.
Captain Schrader or whatever.
Yeah, Kirk. Yeah. USS Enterprise.
Oh, yeah. You know what's always amazed me about that? Because I'm a Star Trek super geek fan.
Yep.
I mean, not super geek because, super geeks know like Klingon and all that. So I'm not that geeky. I've watched them all. Let's say that. The cool thing is the room that they go into. If I was a super geek, I would know this room. And then it changes the world around them, the environment, and they feel like they're in that. It's the meta.
Yeah, that's all it is.
So they can walk in there, and the next, they're in a desert. They can walk in there. They're in a tropical.
Yeah. Oh, look out for the Klingon.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it's just those technologies that they came up back in the 1960s have all came to truth.
Can we talk about something for a moment? Like, how much joy did it bring you just like kicking back on like a Saturday morning and like watching like sci-fi stuff. Not even like phenomenal sci-fi. It's just like it's easy to watch.
The cheesy stuff with the tinfoil and the strings and the UFOs flying. Yeah,
it's literally the best.
All that stuff.
That stuff just made me so comfortable.
Oh yeah, I loved all that.
Always loved it.
Yeah, as a kid, I think any kid loves sci-fi. I think that's just part of.
It's so creative.
Yeah, and then the movies that they're coming out with now.
Matrix was a bust, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
I was really disappointed.
Did you see the data going through the sunlight and all that?
Yeah, I saw the whole thing.
Was that cool?
It was kind of
good CGI.
Yeah, it honestly could have been better. Actually, a lot better. It's too bad.
Yeah, that's too bad. Well, at least we got John Wick.
at least John Wick's there. Don't kill somebody's dog.
John Wick to me. That first one, I have watched that so many times.
It's phenomenal.
Especially the Russian bathhouse scene.
Oh, with the Baba Yaga.
Yeah, and then the pistol work that he did. He trained so hard. Even Halle Berry, the last one.
The knife that goes up. He's like holding the guy's mouth quiet.
Oh, I love John Wick.
Yeah,
I'm a sucker.
Good.
I go to the theater for every single one. I miss like really good action films
where people
like
put
back
the time
in the day. Yeah,
yeah, I love that.
You know, like the Arnolds. Who was it? It was Arnold, Sylvester Stallone.
Yep.
Not Pierce Bronson, but Charles Bronson. Pierce Bronson. He did. Didn't he do one? He did a couple James Bonds.
He's done a couple.
The James Bonds are great. The last one was good.
I loved that.
Yeah,
last one was totally awesome. Loved that.
Yeah.
If you haven't watched it, he dies at the end. But
yeah. Spoiler alert!
Big spoiler.
Well, they had to get. Daniel Craig's awesome, but he's too old.
Yeah.
So they had to get, and I don't know, are they going to do a woman? This is controversial.
Very controversial.
Because they have a black woman that is 007
She was
now.
a badass.
Yeah, she was a badass. So this will be interesting to see what happens, how they're going to interact with this and how they can do this in the franchise.
Yeah, only time will tell, right?
Yeah, I'm curious to know what the next
Bond
will be.
What were we
I don't think
about?
it really matters as long as it's cool.
As long as it's cool, I
don't think people care if it's.
People just want to strongly.
You know who I thought would be perfect? Did you ever see it's a romantic, it's not a comedy, but a romantic drama type.
John Cena?
No, not John Cena. Fuck off. No, the rich crazy Asians.
Oh, I loved that movie.
The Asian guy.
Oh, he'd make a great Bond.
He would make a great James Bond.
I never even considered that.
Because he has that English accent and he's physically fit.
That's a really good thought, Jason.
That's who I thought of.
I'm going to sign you up to start casting people over here at I-25 Studios.
Because you know, like you got Squid Games, and then people are finally. I've been watching Asian films forever, especially South Korean films, but Chinese, Japanese, all of them. And I'm like, Asian films are like so detailed, and the cinematography is so amazing. Even kung fu movies, like
I love them all.
Like the drip from the they'll take time in making sure like the rain drips slow, and then the sword goes. Shh.
It's so cool.
Yeah, and then it's like, and then they use those wires, and people are flying around all the time.
What was it?
I
remember when Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon came out. I'm like, this is the coolest stuff ever. People flying around everywhere, you know,
flying in bamboo forests up in the trees,
it's great,
just fucking cutting each other.
It's so cool.
Okay, we're off.
Yeah.
We're way off.
What were we?
The 9 things we learned about aliens in 2021.
Oh, we already went over number 1. Aliens
UFOs are real and the government knows it. Okay. In June, the Pentagon released this is June 2021. The Pentagon released a highly anticipated report detailing 144 UFO encounters.
Are you serious? 144.
Let's make this clear.
Okay, please.
When the government releases something, they are so far removed from that information, that data, and it is so not worth. They're not going to give the public anything that's worthwhile.
No, and the fact that
it's going to be worthless to them.
The fact that we think it's worthwhile is absurd. They are, no pun intended, light years beyond that information.
The JFK shootings where they keep having to renew, they just did. I think Biden just did it.
Yeah.
To make sure that it stays classified, because they have the expiration for getting declassified. Whenever they renew things,
that's when you know
keep them classified and keep it sealed. That's when you know they're not going to.
We should, what we should do. I think the Billy Meyer material.
Yes,
they had talked about the JFK case. I think we should do probably an episode on that.
Yeah, we'll do that next.
That's awesome.
I think that'll be awesome.
That'll be cool.
The report was meant to assess the threat posed by unidentified aerial phenomena, which is not WAP, like the who did that? The two girls.
Yeah,
2 rappers. Awesome. That was a funny video. But UAPs, not WAPs.
Yeah. WAP.
Unidentified aerial phenomena. Not wet ass.
Yeah, we're good. That song does got a good beat, though.
Yes, yeah, it does. Yeah.
You know?
And officially confirmed several UFO sightings that had, until then, only been shared through viral media. On one hand, the brief 9-page assessment. Oh, they released a lot of information.
9 pages?
So when the government, let me get this correct, because I was in the government for a while.
Yeah.
When the government releases 9 pages, they can do 5,000 pages on a part on a plane.
Yeah,
but
I know.
They have. You should see manuals.
Oh, I've seen.
There's libraries of manuals. Like a C-130, there's libraries of manuals.
Do you know how many switches are in there?
Then you have hydraulics, and you have. I mean, the list goes on, and there's volumes for that. So when the government gives you 9 pages,
that's like saying here's some dandruff.
Yeah,
here's some alien dandruff.
Yeah, that's what they did.
Ooh.
And it confirmed in the report that most of the UAP reported probably do represent physical objects.
Oh, why? Wait, hold on. What the hell does that even mean? You saying there's non-physical objects?
They said that they range from birds, balloons to foreign civilian equipment, which we know that's going on constantly. Mm-hmm. I mean, the Russians, the Chinese.
Ruski.
If we're reverse engineering alien Roswell shit,
yeah.
How many aircraft crash landed in Russia?
Look at the size. We got a giant map up in here, guys. It's so big. It's the best map. I love staring at it.
I want to make a definitive statement.
Go ahead.
Any country that has came into, since the early 1900s, that have come into power, it's probably through alien technology. So we have Russia. We have China.
Yep.
Maybe a little bit in India.
India, Canada, 100%.
And United States, yeah.
Do not mess around with Canada.
No.
They are so low-key, it's pathetic. Mm-hmm. But I know they got the goods going on up there.
Yeah, it's interesting to me.
It's all those Mounties. They've gone from horses to alien craft.
Well, I think like Singapore, maybe they're small, but they have shitloads of money.
Anyone that's coming to major power.
Yeah, and even I don't think China government doesn't mess around too much with. It's funny who they pick on and who they don't. Like they're fine picking on us.
You know why they pick on it? It's just a play.
Yeah. It's
a big play. That's all.
Yeah,
they're creating drama. That's all they do.
It's the Chinese, what is it? The Chinese Socialist Party. What is their don't they have a name for it? It's not they have an abbreviation for it or whatever. It's just families that are socialistic.
You know something? If we really disliked one another, we would have nuked ourselves into oblivion already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, it's just drama.
So we have foreign civilian equipment and top secret U.S. government projects, which you just talked about. However, anyone hoping for acknowledgement of extraterrestrial intelligence is led down in the report, because out of the 144 encounters, not once did they say that it was alien activity.
Okay, so we're going to... First of all, alien craft are real. Oh, by the way, here's a 9-page report, and here's 144 events that occurred, but none of them are actually extraterrestrial technology. Explain to me what's going on now.
So let me ask you this.
What did you actually tell me?
So if my data, we talked about on Tartle the other day, Tartle.co, the TCAS, that they had, what was it, 300 million CD-ROMs worth of data. There was like one thing. Well, that was Interpol. Europol, just here recently collected. What do they call
5
it?
5 petabytes of data.
Yeah. So that's a small organization. Let's talk to the U.S. government with surveillance. And so they decide to say, so they choose, they have, I guarantee you, there's satellites that picked up all kinds of stuff. Anything that's flying around that's wild, I guarantee there's satellites out there that's recording that.
Everything's being recorded and watched all the time, 24/7.
So if their AI, the AI that's up there, knows if it's unidentified, if it's a UAP or not. There's satellites up there that knows if they're a UAP or not. This is a C-130. It's a simple machine learning. Here's a C-130. Here's all the Chinese aircraft. Here's all the Russian aircraft. Here's experimental aircraft. Here's what we have. By the way, this is all top secret. The satellite knows it. Machine learning knows it. If you don't see any of these, take a picture.
Yeah. If it's an outlier for any of these normal things that are occurring, you take a picture immediately.
So imagine how many of these pictures they have.
That's how many?
I guarantee you, there was 144. I want to make sure 144 encounters. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you they're getting 144 encounters in 5 minutes of data. How many encounters do you think the government has recorded in 50 years?
hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
No joke. Hundreds of thousands.
Yes.
And it's not just our government. Everybody else got satellites taking pictures, scanning stuff all the time. They all know we're making stuff like this.
Navy fighters are flying around and then catching shit on their fucking cameras.
On their Raytheon cameras.
Just out of the blue. Yeah. Imagine when you're actually looking for the shit.
Imagine when you have a bird's eye view.
Yeah.
And you're just staring at all this stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it's there all the time. Do you remember what happened when they came out with night vision goggles?
Yes.
They actually the government had to take them back, recalibrate it, and give it back to the soldiers. Because the soldiers would look up in the sky and be like, what the hell is all that? The frequency, the photon frequency, which the night vision goggles receive light, and you've worn them. They're incredible.
Yeah, incredible.
They're the coolest stuff ever.
Coolest shit ever, yeah.
They were so sensitive. They're like, what is all this stuff flying around? The government had to actually take them back, recalibrate, and say, do not have them pull in this frequency. Yeah, and then they dished them back out.
Yes. Because, I mean, that shit is incredible. Back in the day, we had the early ones because I was in the 90s, so depth perception was off.
I can't tell how far away shit is.
No, the worst is depth. Like, so you're driving in a Humvee.
Yeah.
And you're in the sand. So sand is anyways. So the big pivots in the sand that could be 30 feet down, that could look like 3 feet. So next thing you know, you're driving along, oh, that's not, and then you're like rolling over a Humvee. a lot of accidents.
It's because they're if it's totally dark, how do you get shadow? Because shadow allows us to understand depth.
Yes.
I remember when I put on my first, mil spec night vision goggles, and it was jet black in this room. I could see everybody totally fine, but I was slamming into tables. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you can't really tell the distance.
Yeah, it's totally different now. They're like spot on, almost like the human eye. But I mean, they'll have contacts and all that stuff soon. But think about this: the government gives you 9 pages and 144 encounters, and then turns around. They chose the data. They decided what they want to release.
Yep.
There was this. This is like you said, dandruff.
Yeah, it's alien dandruff.
So I can choose 144 that were aliens.
Perfect.
They could give us 144 that were.
Yeah.
And said, look, everything in the night sky, they control the data. Everything in the night sky, all 100. Here's 500 alien aircraft that we have no idea what they are. This is why I think Chile is so important. And we've talked about this before. When that motherfucker begins to take pictures constantly, 24/7, who's going to control that data?
No one.
It's supposed to be released.
I know. And who's going to release it? You have all those observatories and everything going on.
And the camera in that telescope, it's supposed to be one of the most powerful camera telescopes that are out there, that are the most.
Yeah, so what does that tell you?
And it's supposedly all of that, and I don't know if it is or isn't, but supposedly all of it is supposed to be put on the internet instantly.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying, but hold on. Who's doing the cloud processing? Do you remember? Google does. And do you know who has a direct contact with Google?
No, well,
National Security Agency.
Yeah. Google is the government.
Google is the government. Do you know...
you know Lockheed Martin and all that back in the day, the Skunks Works?
Yeah, Skunk Works. I love it.
Technology Skunk Works, Google.
Yeah, it's all Google.
I wonder how much money the U.S. government gives Google. Well, I remember the old CEO, he's got his own podcast now, which is kind of cool. Eric Schmidt, I think was his name. He's running around talking to Chinese governments and doing... People say he's like a CIA dude now or something.
Could be. You have no idea.
What do you think?
Listen, if you need some proof of like shit flying around, I want you to spend $6,000 on a Sony camera, put a monster lens, and I want you to film the moon in full light all the time. You'll see craft flying around it, leaving a shadow that's 3 miles wide across it. You just watch it all day long.
Yeah, it's
right there in front of you.
Silly.
All that matters.
We've all seen them.
Yeah, it's just a lens. It's how is it that you want to look at the world.
And if you haven't seen alien spacecraft, then just come here to New Mexico.
Just hang out outside for a
and get away from the city.
Yeah.
Where it's totally pitch black, and get out there and it's amazing to see the stars.
Everything's flying around all the time.
And you'll see all kinds of stuff flying around. Satellites, military aircraft. Okay, that was number 1.
Okay. What's the next one? Wait, you mean part 1?
Number 2, black holes could be alien powerhouses.
What kind of an insane comment is that? Well, what are they talking about?
While aliens hunters spend plenty of time searching for habitable planets beyond our solar system, a study published in July in the journal Monthly Notices of the Royal Astronomical Society, these guys are badass, warns that scientists shouldn't overlook nature's most extreme objects, black holes, because black holes can radiate up to 100,000 times more energy than a star like our sun.
Oh yeah, they're talking about
didn't we read somewhere where they would get near, an alien spacecraft would get near a black hole and then it would recharge their ships or something?
You're talking about in the ionosphere. So it's ions. So remember the field effects we were talking about in previous episodes? That stuff has to be charged. You got to replenish it. It has to come from somewhere. So the cosmic electromagnetic energy, which comes outside of creation itself, floating around in our universe, you have these giant pulsars. Mm-hmm. So you got a black hole in the center, and it's got these two conical tubes that come up both sides, just jacking energy out of it. They're just saying, that you would just you put your ship in front of it and just suck the energy up.
That is crazy.
That's an interesting thought. But I don't know how reasonable it is. I wouldn't want to go next to a black hole.
No.
I have no interest in getting sucked in, but I get it.
But they say this is interesting. So it's 100 times more energy than a star, like our sun, that may make tempting targets for alien civilizations looking to power their interstellar enterprises.
You know what I think is the issue here? We have this idea that energy consumption increases indefinitely, so you need to find larger energy sources. Yes. I think that's an unevolved human construct.
Yeah, they're saying that there was some 1960s technology, and this is really cool. You're going to like this. To do this, aliens could use high-tech structures called Dyson spheres, giant energy siphoning orbs first proposed in the 1960s to steal energy from the disk of white-hot matter swirling around a black hole's horizon.
Yeah, they throw these Dyson spheres. So it's essentially this interesting-looking geometry. It's this technological device floating around in space, and it's just pulling energy into it.
Then radiate that energy outward into space. Then re-radiated energy would create a distinct wavelength signature that astronomers could detect from Earth. The study authors suggest the researchers are currently developing algorithms to search through existing telescope data in search of those telltale signatures.
Why would they use like a triple-step program? You're so advanced, you don't need to have 5 things to occur just to get some energy.
Yeah.
Sounds good. It's just way overcomplicated.
But I do like that they're on to something in the sense of being able to see if this is, it's just another way for us to, besides radio frequencies, because we're always doing the LMF and all that. And we got that. What's the big, and we need to do a show on that, the weather control system that's in Alaska.
HARP.
Yeah, HARP. And well, HAARP.
That's correct.
Not AARP.
Yeah.
But so but this is what's interesting to me, and this is what I love about this. Like we've had on Tartle's podcast, the leading astronomer, Harvard, Avi Loeb. He's talking and not seeming crazy, and people are embracing him. He had New York Times bestseller book. I love it when astronomers are buying in
open-minded
instead of fighting.
Open-minded?
Yes, and I think we're getting more and more astronomers coming to the conclusion that something's out there.
Open-mindedness is becoming more mainstream.
Yeah, so we hit 2.
Well, Jason, if I said, go find me some aliens, where do you look first? You're only going to look first within the bounds of what you know to look for.
Yes.
But the problem is, if someone's so advanced, they don't want to, if they're good,
right?
They don't really want to be seen. So they're going to sit outside of that wavelength so that they can't be seen.
Yeah, you could take ayahuasca, you could take a heavy dose of mushrooms, you can do psychedelics, and people see the same type of creatures. I don't know if that's interdimensional creatures or whatever. But I would go to CERN. If I had to find a place where I'm going to find aliens,
I'm going to CERN.
I'm going to CERN because
particle accelerators is where they're hanging out.
Yeah, I'm all about that. Yeah. They're concerned about. I don't think they care about our nuclear technology anymore. They know we're safe with it.
Yeah,
I think they're concerned about CERN.
Yeah, they're like, okay, what are you doing next?
We can rip apart.
Are you guys
the whole fucking globe? Are you guys CERN could rip. People don't realize it.
You can atomize shit. Yeah. That's a problem. If you the problem is with some of the nukes is that this nuclear technology is, if the chain reaction becomes so sustained, there's nothing. The only thing that can stop it is a lack of mass at that point. They got lucky when we dropped our first nukes that the thing didn't keep going. They're like, I don't know what's going to happen. It could either work or we just blow up everything. And they dropped it anyway. Oppenheimer knew this. They all knew when they were standing there, but the chain reaction stopped. So who knows what's going on with CERN? Like, you accelerate particles, you start spinning atoms.
Which to me would be interesting. Like, did they have contact with an Orion group or something like that and knew that it would stop before they dropped it? Did they have because the aliens were all around when we were dropping nukes and shit. That's the most sightings we've seen.
A bunch of barbarians hanging out in a desert and we're dropping nukes. Literally everybody's going to show up.
Look at this big metal.
In suits with ties, dropping nukes. They're probably like, what are they doing?
Yes, but I'm curious if they knew that. I'm curious if they knew from an external resource that it wouldn't cause a chain? Were they that reckless?
Reckless, yeah.
Where they just were like, fuck it, we're all going to die anyways. It's World War II.
I would have loved to have asked Oppenheimer. Yeah. Were you guys just that reckless? From what I understand, they had no clue.
Well, Hitler knew all this. He was channeling.
Yeah, and that'll be a whole new podcast thing.
Which is coming up soon. Mm-hmm. Okay, Tardo.co, Quality Mazda NM.
Yep, and part 2 coming up next.